Basically, when we say stress, we use the word quite commonly. If you people say that I'm so stressed, I didn't get good enough sleep last night. Sometimes you have relationship issues. You say, "Okay, I'm under a lot of stress at home." So stress can be a just common English word for something that you go through. But as a psychiatrist, as a doctor, we look at stress in a different way. There is something like a biological stress that creates hormonal issues inside you, that creates kind of a neurological structural change, functional change inside you. So basically, stress, the way we say it, it's different from the stress the way we treat. Sometimes even getting outside your bed in the morning can be a stressful thing, but again, you can handle it well. So whenever you say stress, we don't only look at we shouldn't only look at the stress as in whatever is happening around you. We also need to look at the second thing, which is how much you are able to handle or cope with that stress. So there is one basic, the stress of everyday life, whatever you do, and second is your stress handling capacity, right? So basically that's where the whole discussion of stress is going to go today. Everyone has a right to be stressed, everyone has a right to feel stressed. Sometimes feeling stress is just part of your life. Anxiety, again, is sometimes also used in a normal everyday term. I'm anxious about something. I'm anxious that something is going to happen. Again, for a doctor, we are supposed to look at what is normal anxiety, which is an everyday emotion, just like stress is an everyday experience. We are supposed to look at anxiety, which is an illness, which is a completely different thing. Basically, stress and tension are typically used interchangeably, like they mean the same thing. But again, tension is more like your body is also stressed up a little. Sometimes you say, no, मेरे को tension यहाँ पे आ जाता है. People will say, I hold up so much stress in my upper body. Like I carry a lot of stress. It's also because they have, through chronic stress or through whatever daily struggles of your physical experience, whatever you do, you have some spasms and all. Again, I'm saying that stress, tension, and anxiety are part of your normal experiences of every day. Sometimes these things become illnesses or symptoms or signs of illnesses. Sometimes just as a part of depression and other stress related issues, people experience anxiety. So every day they feel anxious, and even they know, and even as a doctor, we understand it's excessive. So that's something, that's a anxiety we need to treat. Let's look at it, this pain. So there is a certain amount of stress that this pain can take happily without before it gets broken. So everything, human beings and animals including, have certain amount of resilience, some certain amount of tension that we can take. In fact, I would say, and most people would agree, that certain amount of stress is actually good for you. If you have certain amount of stress, and if that stress is good enough for you to be handled, these are, I'm speaking in very generalities, but if your system can take that amount of stress, it's good. If you go a little bit up, if you go a little bit higher than what you can handle, type of responses may happen. Sometimes people's system will get activated a little bit. Basically, it's trying to adapt in real time to the new stress, the stress, kind of a stress it's not used to. It will try to kind of adapt itself and kind of try to figure it out. And it can later on it can rest, but it will try to adjust to it. That is going to be one type of a response. Secondly, because we are living beings, we are under control of what we do. Sometimes what people will do, they'll just avoid the task. They don't want to do it. They don't want to handle it. So psychologically speaking, so many different things happen when you are avoiding. You can simply go to some sort of fantasy and you try to remember some good things. The task that gives you stress is in front of you, but you are thinking about something else. So even this is a sort of escapism. Third, and what I would say is more mature way of doing it, is anticipating the stress that is going to come to you, getting your system ready, keeping your things in order already, so that when the stress comes, you are a little bit ready for it. So this is a kind of a learning that you take years or even months at least to develop. So if you are stressed about something, you just practice for it. So let's say you are stressed, and in general, again, we are starting from a normal side, like something we won't treat as doctors. Sometimes even you probably won't go to a doctor for. you're stressed about something. So maybe the first response will be you will think about something too much. So let's say you are worried about work, and basically it's something financial. Some you are getting some sort of a money. Let's say you earn 20,000 rupees at your work, and your expenses are like 19,000, and you're barely getting by. You're only getting like 1,000 to save, and you're planning to have a baby in next year. So it's a stress. I mean, it's a picture that everybody can relate to. So it's a stress, a common and a healthy response to it. Your brain will kind of push you to just think about it too much. So that is a sign of being under stress. Secondly, you'll feel as if your body is also changing a little bit. Like you feel a little bit on the edge. Feels like your body is getting kind of ready for fight that you will never really have. So let's say I give you an example of a colleague that you don't like. There is some issue going on with the colleague. You don't like them. They don't do your work, or it's a boss that you work for and you don't want to work for them. Fine. In either case, whenever you look at that person or whenever you interact with that person, you are not being happy. Your system is kind of moving you. You feel this inner tension, this muscular kind of a tension. You feel like your blood is kind of pumping too much. Your heart is kind of pumping too much blood into your arms and your legs. You feel little bit tensed up. That's a common experience. Now in general, you are worrying about things. Anxiety would be like a third one. Worrying about things in general, even the things that are you, it's not related to the thing that cause you stress. So basically your stress was, let's say, this financial issue. You're planning a baby, you don't have enough money, and that's the basic how it started. But slowly you are kind of worrying about things in general. You are also worrying about what your neighbor is saying about you. You're also kind of getting worried that what will happen to you if you what will happen to your family if you die. Like it's out of the blue, new questions are coming to your brain, and most of them are kind of negative, and sometimes these things can even get worse and worse and worse. So for example, you are getting so anxious, so tensed up throughout the day, that by the evening you are exhausted. Or when you fall on the bed, your body is exhausted, your mind is exhausted, your brain is kind of tired, it wants to rest, but it's kind of on this hyperdrive in which you're thinking and thinking and thinking, and you cannot fall asleep because you're so alert, and you're supposed to sleep. You know that you should sleep. So basically there is no button. You want to do something, just make me feel asleep. Like, I want to sleep, sir, help me sleep. I want to sleep. I am tired, but I cannot sleep. And even a little bit, a trivial and small amount of stress is making you upset. That's kind of an example of worsening and worsening amount of stress. An extreme example can be given, like you don't even have good thoughts now. Think negatively about most of the thing. For example, typical three thoughts that we see very commonly: there is no value of me being alive. Like I am worthless. Secondly, something like whatever situation this is, it cannot be helped also. And then the next one would be actively thinking about dying and being preoccupied, like how I will die, planning for it. That's kind of the more severe one. First, let's just look at yourself. Is the situation basically demanding of the amount of stress that you are facing? So is your stress level appropriate to whatever is the situation? If you are at work and you are really worried about something or stressed about something, you're supposed to be stressed. You just joined a job and you don't know what to do, or the job that you're supposed to be doing is too much for you, or it's new for you. It's obvious that you will be stressed. So is it is it like a amount of stress, is it appropriate to the current situation? Basically you went through a divorce, of course you will be stressed, right? So basically, if there is an excess amount of stress, like there is nothing to worry about, the life is good, but still you have negative emotions, that's a common thing. Meet a psychiatrist. So many times people just saying stuff like, do yoga, do an exercise, go outside. Again, these cannot be prescriptions. What people mostly do is they look at somebody who's doing exercise every day and being happy, and they say that, and basically they look at a depressed person, they'll say ki, okay, look at that person is doing exercise every day and that person is happy. So if you do start doing exercise today, you will become happy. But it's such a general advice, and there is no like scientific mindset to it. It's always good if you do exercise, it's always great if you do yoga, stretching, good diet and all of those things. But when you are ill, and especially a person who is ill, like from their face that their face kind of has dropped down, their emotion, they don't express as much, their face is a little bit like masked up and kind of pulled back. They sit like this and they have all these creases, and you're telling them to just be healthy. So it's like, to me, it's like me telling a diabetic person to just get rid of your sugar. Yeah, like, why do you have so much sugar? Just be happy now. Like, why don't you have just normal insulin level that I have? Why don't you have the blood sugar that I have? Again, why? Because I look at these issues as literally biological illnesses that are in your body. Again, what is the next step for any person who's going through depression, or just again the stress, if it's too much? One, go to a psychiatrist. That should be the first step. And there is no shame in saying that. Nobody should have shame in saying that. Sometimes stress itself is like in a vicious cycle. So basically, let's say you are a person who works in a job. The job pays you like again 8,000. It's your first job. You know, I like to give these examples because people need to have some context. So you just passed out a couple of years back. You look for a job. This is the first job, and from the salary number itself, you know that this is not going to be my final job. I cannot work for 8 or 9,000 for a long time. So basically, you're not taking it seriously, right? You're just going to the job, you're going a little bit late, you're trying to leave a little bit early. The boss is kind of noticing you. He was kind of ready to pay in his head, he was planning to give you more, but because of the work you're doing is substandard, he is not planning to pay you more. So now it's a situation you're working for a boss who probably doesn't want you, and it's a boss that you probably don't want to work for a long. Whenever there is payment, you feel like it's less than what you deserve. The boss feels like it's more than what you deserve. You know, it's a vicious cycle, and so many bad things will happen that it will stress you and the boss in the future. So it's a bad, like, it's a bad philosophical position in life to be. So what I tell people is something like this: even if it's your basic job, approach it as if you want a promotion. So like they say, you dress for the job you want, not for the job you got. So if you like at an entry level, you work as if you're some sort of a like damn executive. Give them results. So what will happen? This cycle will never happen to you. But usually this is what is going to elevate your stress if you don't deal with it. Sometimes people who have history of psychiatric illnesses in their family, like their grandparents had some sort of a drinking issue, you will say, it has nothing to do with me. Yes, of course it has something to do with you, because 50% of your grandfather's genes went to like one of your parents, and from 50% of them came to you. Like, who knows that what genes came to you? Like, there is no way I can tell you just looking at you. But the family history really does suggest something. It doesn't mean that all relatives of all psychiatrically ill people will have some problems. No, it's not also going to be the same thing. Like, if your father had drinking problem and depression, doesn't mean you'll also have drinking problem and depression. It simply means that certain stresses you are more vulnerable to. You may have some completely entirely different sort of a psychiatric issue. You may have anxiety, something he never had, and something new will happen to you. But again, these things make you more vulnerable. If you are stressed, drinking, any sort of a substance abuse, addiction, these things commonly make it worse. Like a rule of thumb would be, don't drink. Yeah, don't make it worse by doing those things. Don't sleep less because you are stressed. Give yourself more time to rewind. So let's say if you go to your bed at 11 o'clock and you cannot fall asleep, try to slow your entire schedule down at 6 p.m. only. So if you come back at from work at 5 p.m. and you know that you have a problem sleeping at 11, kind of wind down, kind of wind down. Basically, try to sync your stress handling ability to the stress you actually handle. So whatever your ability is, try to figure out what that ability is. You can say, okay, these types of situations make me stressed. Okay, how many of those situations I can actually handle? If my behavior itself gave me stress indirectly because someone reacted to me, and someone reacted to my behavior, and that caused me stress, doesn't mean that they are responsible. Not always. Secondly, you are under stress, you want to reduce it. What are the general guidelines I would give? First, figure out if your sleep quality is good, not just the number of hours you sleep, also the number of hours. I would say 8 plus. I would often say sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, 9.5 hours. Nothing is wrong with that. People have this bad tendency that I 6 hours only and I'm going to do some good thing. No, 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 you're approaching it wrong. Of course, there are certain individuals that need less amount of sleep. Doesn't mean you need to copy them. Good exercise. One is your stretching exercises that warm you up. and then two exercises, which one would be your cardio. Base cardio is not basically running, just I'm giving you example. Base cardio is walking. Do that 30 hours, 30 minutes every day. Won't hurt you, will improve basic joints of you, make your old age better right now. So it's like an insurance scheme. If you walk today, you're going to have a better and less costly old age. Basically, it's like that. If you do muscle exercises, joint exercises, in which over of this pulley of a joint, you are giving some weight to it. You are improving not only your muscles, you are kind of making your old age better. You're also kind of improving your metabolism. How? Because the bigger muscles you have, the more basal metabolic rate you have. Basically, every day you burn more calories just by staying alive. You have more muscles. No, to just live, these muscles are going to take more energy, which means what? You're going to lose fat indirectly. Basically, you keep your diet same and have more muscle on your body, you're going to get in shape good, going to look good, it's going to feel good, of course. But also your metabolism will be a little bit more active, meaning what? You'll feel more active through the day, you will work more, which is a good cycle. It's a good positive cycle to have, because you'll work more, then you spend more calories. And then slowly and surely, 3 months, 4 months, you start to see results. And then it's going to be even more fun, because something that you've been doing, it's giving you results, you're going to feel good about it. If you face the sun in the morning, especially if you exercise in the morning in the sun, it helps you fall asleep at night. Your sleep quality improves. And again, the indirect health benefits, like you losing weight and feeling this and that, when you lose weight, those are going to be additional bonuses. But your day improves today. So, like, you don't need to wait for 3 months or a year to see benefits. Don't judge and make conclusions too quickly. Anyone who's sad is not depressed. Anyone who has anxiety is not ill. First, learn more about whatever they are going through. So, for example, if my mother cannot sleep since 6 days, and she's saying and talking to me, but like most of the things that she's saying are kind of negative, I would say, okay, let me Google or at least find out what this is. She's not sleeping well and she doesn't really sound well in the day. So this is the time to take her to a professional. Home remedies and just take a little bit of sip, and those, like I told you, these are not good options. Take people to professionals. A good professional will tell you if you are not ill. Instead of just selling you something, they'll tell you you are all right, but do these maybe couple of things. And you see, they'll I counsel people all the time that, okay, so this thing that you're worrying about, it's not an issue, it's not an illness, so don't worry about it. So they feel little bit better. But sometimes what happens is there is some other issue that they weren't even thinking about, and that gets diagnosed. So getting help from professional is a very, very strong recommendation.